I suspect virtually every driver has gone over a pothole at some stage, but many people are still confused about what you might do if your vehicle is damaged as a result of a pothole, so that is what I'm going to explain in this video. But first of all, let's talk about what a pothole actually is, because as silly as that sounds, not every dip in the road is considered a pothole. Most councils will only classify damaged road if it is at least 40 millimeters deep, which is about 1.5 inches, and 300 millimeters wide, which is just under 1 foot wide. If it fits these dimensions, then the local council or the appropriate authority is likely to consider it a pothole, whereas anything smaller than that is just going to be considered a carriage defect. So now let's talk about responsibility. Local authorities or local councils have responsibility to maintain the roads in their jurisdiction. That just means their local area. This includes local roads, B roads and minor A roads, whereas major A roads and motorways might well be under the jurisdiction of Highways England, or of course Traffic Wales, Transport Scotland, or in Northern Ireland, the Department of Infrastructure. It's also important to rule out that if your car is damaged by way of falling debris from another vehicle or any part of another vehicle falling off for that matter, this is not the same thing as being damaged by a pothole and is not going to be the responsibility of your local authority. This will need to be a claim made via your own insurance company, and in turn they may try to claim against the other driver. Now, before we go any further about making a claim, I'm going to say something that I say in many of my videos, which is evidence is everything. You need as much evidence as you can. You don't necessarily need a photograph of the hole itself, but you will need to know exactly when and where you were when this happened, and if at all possible, make a contemporaneous statement, that is just a statement made at or around the time when this is fresh in your memory, and if possible, statements from anyone else who saw it happen. But just as a caveat to all that, if this happened on a motorway or other main road, don't put yourself in danger, and remember it would be trespass to walk onto the motorway to try to capture photographs of said hole. Just don't do it. Next stage of evidence, of course, is that with your vehicle. You will need photographs and documentary evidence of the damage done to your vehicle at the time. If it is just a burst tyre, then it's just that. There might be damage to the exhaust, for example. There might be damage to the catalytic converter if this has been scraped because the hole was so deep. Either way, you're going to need evidence of what damage has been done and get some quotes as to what it would cost to repair this damage. Then you know what the claim is potentially worth. If, when thinking about the evidence of such a hole, you are suspicious about the hole and when it was damaged, when it was last inspected, or since when the council knew about it, because it's a public body, you can make a Freedom of Information request about this location to find out whether they've been informed about it before, whether they've made notes about it before, and generally for how long they've known about it, if at all, so that you can determine whether or not they've been negligent in failing to repair the hole. So assuming that the pothole fits the bill, this is what caused the damage and not any other debris on the road or falling from any other vehicle, then the local authority or appropriate authority may well be responsible for this damage, and you may be able to claim compensation directly from them. Most local authorities will have their own claim process which you can follow, which should be quicker, easier and cheaper than going to court. If you follow that claim and get paid out, then everything's great. If, however, they reject that claim, they might also have an appeals process, but it would probably take something significant for them to consider and uphold an appeal. If all of that fails, then you are falling back on the option of going to court. If the damage and the cost you are claiming is not more than £10,000, then a court claim is likely to be allocated to the small claims track. This is a double-edged sword because the ordinary costs implications to a claim at court don't ordinarily apply to a small claim. The double-edged sword being that the council cannot claim their costs against you if they successfully defend the claim, but it also means that if you pay for lawyers' fees, you cannot reclaim those against the council either. Although you can claim back your fixed costs, which will be the cost of issuing the claim and the fee for actually hearing the claim in court. This is where, of course, all of the evidence is going to come in, because the court doesn't just want to know what happened, it wants you to support it with evidence, because the court makes decisions based on evidence, not just what you say, although what you say can become evidence if it's part of a witness statement, which you should be filing if you go to court in any event. But let's say none of that appeals to you, you can always fall back on your insurance company if they do accept the claim, although it's likely to be what we call an at-fault claim, meaning that it will be your fault and it's likely to have a knock-on effect on your insurance premiums moving forward. Although some insurance companies possibly have a caveat that they'll cover damage from potholes without affecting your no claims bonus or without affecting your further premiums. And as another very important caveat here, do not under any circumstances exaggerate your claim or lie about your claim, because this is likely to come out, and if the insurance company challenges it and you end up with a marker on your insurance record told that you've exaggerated a claim, or worse, it's fundamentally dishonest, you could have your insurance policy cancelled, and then you may struggle to get insurance policies in the future. And of course, this can have a very serious and detrimental effect, because if you have insurance cancelled and then you are not able to get insurance in the future, then you're not going to be able to drive at all, because of course it is an offence to be driving without the requisite insurance. So ultimately, and in summary, the likelihood of you being able to claim for damage to your vehicle depends on the evidence, the size of the hole, the amount of damage, whether the council is playing ball, so to speak, to cooperate with the claim and pay you out, or worst case still, you go to court or check it out with your insurance company. So I hope that's a useful overview. There's no doubt going to be questions in the comments. Drop those down below and I'll come back to you on those. And as always, thank you for watching.